Yes, my name is Walt Rothwell. I'm a volunteer techmate at 125 Live, and we offer one-on-one support and some classroom activities. So today I'd like to give you a brief introduction to Google Photos for collecting and organizing your photos and sharing them as you choose. Um, if you have a Gmail account, then you automatically have access to a whole variety of Google tools, which are for the most part free. There are some instances if you need sufficient storage that they will charge you a monthly fee, and I'll give you more information about that in a minute. I should mention that if you um, pay the annual fee for Amazon Prime, there is a very similar tool set that exists for Amazon Prime members for organizing and editing photos. So you might want to consider that if you're already in the Amazon world. So I am going to share my screen here. So these are a series of screenshots from the Google company. The purpose of Google Photos is to make your memories and your photos available across devices. On a mobile device, it's available as an app. On a Windows or Mac PC, you would generally use it through a browser, but all your photo collection is available regardless of what device you're using. There are also a variety of tools built into Google Photos that allow you to organize and create albums and collections, and then to share those as you choose. Some of those tools are automatic and some are do-it-yourself, and I'll try and give you an idea of the difference between those. Again, you can create albums and share them with your family. There are some editing features that are available. They're pretty basic, but you can enhance the photo, adjust the contrast and cropping if you need to. And it also offers services where you can select photos from your collection and print them individually or create photo books. And the way that these collections are shared across devices is that all your photos are stored in the cloud. And some people are concerned about Google having access to all your photos, and I would certainly be thoughtful about what photos you choose to include. My wife and I both have our devices set up so that when either of us takes a photo on our iPhone, both those streams go into the Google Photos cloud. And that way we both have access to all the photos. None of those photos are sensitive in our opinion, but you may have photos in your collection that are older and that you want to be more cautious about. So there are a couple of related products that you see here that tie in. I have not personally used those. And overall, if you have a Google account, you have a limit of 15 gigabytes of storage space. And with Google Photos, you can choose how high the resolution is on the photos as they're saved to Google. So that helps you to control how much space they take up. There's also a tool in Google Photos to easily see how much space you've used out of your 15 gigabyte allocation. And then if you choose to go beyond that, then they start to charge you a regular fee. There is a Google One plan if you exceed the free storage and you begin to pay for Google One, then you have the ability to share that with other family members so that they have access to your account for free. And then these are the paid levels. So 15 gigabytes is the free storage. And then the options go to $2 a month, $3 a month, up to $10 a month for these Google One plans that include a variety of extras. I don't pay for any of the extras, so I'm not directly familiar with them. And these are just some examples of the sorts of printing options that Google has available if you store your collection with them. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen, dive right into the application itself so I can give you a demo. So I'm in a Chrome browser here. I'm on a Windows platform. And in this browser, I've typed photos.google.com. That's the site. And I'm already logged in under my own name. So it already recognizes my account. And the first thing that pops up is a chronologic display of the various photos that either I or my wife have taken. And if I wanted to, I could double click on one of these and scroll through. Up here, there are options for sharing. If I want to share an individual photo, maybe include it in a text message or an email. There are editing features. There's a zoom ability. You can mark it as a favorite. You can delete the photo. And then there are some additional things here. There's a quick way to rotate the photo left if the orientation is off. You can download that photo directly to whatever device you're using. And then you have the ability to print it or organize. So we'll talk more about those features. But in a nutshell, that's what you first see when you enter Google Photos, is this chronologic view. Let's look at the toolbar over here on the left-hand side. So you have the ability to search for photos. I'll talk more about that in a minute. You have the ability to share either individually or collections. There's a print option. If I click the favorites entry, it shows all the photos that I've marked as favorites. There's only one, but you can mark as many as you like. It lists the albums that I have put together myself. Let's look at utilities for just a moment. So it has the ability to create movies out of individual photos, something like a slideshow. It has the ability to add some elements of animation or to create a collage from a selected group of photos. I haven't used any of those features, so I'm not directly familiar with them, but there are some new creations that it provides tools for. So let's go to view all albums. Now, each of these albums are ones that I created. So I decided what to name them, and I decided what photos to include. So all of these are intentional by me and hopefully don't include any mistakes. There are a number of instances where Google organizes things automatically, and those can include mistakes. So let's take a look. If I click the Explore entry, you'll see there's this people and pets category, places, things, and then some other options that we've already seen down below. Now, these are not collections that I created. These are automatically generated by Google. And every photo that I include in my collection is analyzed, and every face is identified in the photo. So if I click View All, you're going to see all these faces, including pets, that Google has identified. And they do make some mistakes, but I put the names with the faces, and If there are mistakes with that particular face, I have the ability to remove that to correct it. So if I scroll way down, we'll get to faces that are not labeled. Here we go. Some of them historic, some of them more recent. So I have chosen not to name these. I've only named the people that I'm most um, that I want to navigate to most. So if I go to Patty, it's going to show me all the photos that it found that it believes include Patty's face. And it's pretty accurate. It does make mistakes. For instance, here, this doesn't belong there. So I'm going to click. If I click on the photo itself, it's going to enlarge that individual photo. But if I click on this checkbox, that selects it. And then I can go up here to the three dots and say, remove that result, wrong person. So Google is asking me to teach them why it was a mistake. I'm okay with that, but you may or may not be. So I'm going to click submit, and then that photo disappears from the collection. So I do have the ability to correct their mistakes. In other instances, when I enter the program, I'll get a prompt early on saying, are these the same people? It'll show two faces, and it gives you the ability to say, yes, they're both the same. No, they're not, or I can't tell. Sometimes the photos are just too small to be sure. So again, you're teaching the Google logic how to do a better job. So that is faces. Let's just take a look at pets for a minute, because it does recognize pets of various kinds, which is pretty remarkable to me. Even like, look at this picture. How does it even tell that that's the same dog? Um, but as I go down, there are some mistakes down below. It identified some other black dogs that we had before this dog was born. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty impressive. So I'm going to go back to Explore. That's people and pets. Let's look at places. Now, you probably know that any digital photo taken will generally include metadata that indicates exactly the location where that photo was taken. And so Google automatically, with all your photos, if that metadata is available, it will group the photos by location. So it knows every photo that I've entered that was taken in Ireland. And more locally, it does get kind of confused. This is my neighborhood. It labels that as John Adams because we're close to the school. Um, it's got a separate label for Mayo Clinic. So some of the more local neighborhood things are a little puzzling. But if, for instance, this Mendota Heights entry is a genealogy library that I go to regularly, and it's really handy to say, I know I saw a reference there. I want to look back at something I took a photo of, and they're all grouped together here. I didn't need to do that. It was done automatically. So now I'm going to go back to Explore. The last thing here, things. Oh, I want to view all. So it also does its best to try and recognize what the scene is or what the elements are. Forests, parks, some of this is a little puzzling. Why would it label this dancing? I'm not quite sure, but it recognizes boats, it recognizes sports activities. Again, it's pretty striking, the amount of analysis that they have built into this tool. And so here, whiteboards, all the whiteboard pictures I've taken over the years. But then it throws in this image from the TLC. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty powerful. So I just want to wrap up by mentioning a few things. So what are the advantages of using this? Of course, it allows you to free up space on your local device, because as you upload these images to the cloud, you can set it up so that they're removed from your smartphone. So it allows you to free up a lot of space on your phone, especially if you're dealing with raw files or video files that can be quite large. That could be very helpful. As I've said, it allows you to sync your photo collection across your devices. So if I use my tablet, or if I go to the TLC and log into my Google account, I've got access to the photos anywhere that I log in. It allows easy sharing with family members or anybody you choose of your collection or the albums that you create. And that includes both the automatic and the manual organizing tools by date, by place, by face, by event, and by album. So I hope that gives you a general idea. One last thing, and that is to share my screen on my mobile device, just to give you a very quick idea. Okay, so whether you have an Android device or an iOS device, the mobile app is available. It's a native app. If you're on an Android platform, in iOS, you would need to install it from the Apple Store. But it's very similar. At the top of the screen, it does present me with more than just the chronology. It groups things in a way that Google thinks I might want to take a look at them. But then otherwise, you can see that it's chronologic after that. Down at the bottom of the screen, we're looking at the Photos tab right now. If I go over to the Library tab, here it's showing all the albums that we had seen. If I click the Sharing tab, it has some entries that it remembers from my previous activity. So it offers me the ability to share to those frequent contacts, or I can specify a new one. And then finally, if I click the Search tab, then I have access to the same tools that we've gone over. The app is available on a smartphone too, a small screen, but if you're comfortable with that, it's equally available there.